Hello everybody, welcome back. And with Elden Ring being out, everybody's talking about difficulty, yada yada. Oh my god. That discussion has to be the most tiring conversation of all time for me. Uh doesn't need an easy mode. Just move on, right? And the big problem and what people get wrong in the conversation is that they conflate accessibility with ease or difficulty in a game. And those are two different discussions, right? So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on this and kind of put the subject to rest because a lot of people have asked me in terms of accessibility for Elden Ring. This is one of the most accessible Souls games, which doesn't mean easy, and I'll explain why. So, the difference between the two ideas is that accessibility means that anyone who wants to play can. However, that means from a physical standpoint. So, the game doesn't require you to have a specific response time in your brain or nervous system. It doesn't. It really doesn't. What it does require, like many other Souls games, is a certain level of perseverance and attempting stuff several times if needed. That level of commitment and perseverance is not something that everybody is willing to do, and that's fine. But I don't think it's fine for us to say, oh, we need to create a bypass for people who aren't willing to put in the effort, right? Because the game is somewhat about your journey, and the perseverance aspect of it is a key crucial aspect. If I look back, those games wouldn't mean really anything to me if it wasn't for the satisfaction of overcoming your level of skill and getting to that new plateau where things that used to be hard are now easy, not because you grinded some gear, but because you became better as a player and you learned move sets. All that sort of stuff is integral to why those games work for me, and absolutely wouldn't be the same journey without that aspect. So I think you lose something in the process when you try to remove that, if you tried to remove that. Instead, I think we should be focusing on the actual accessibility aspect, which means making sure people with different eyesight or reactions are able to still play the game. So things like color blindness, I know it's not flashy, but yes, guys, many of us are colorblind, and those options really do help a lot. I love seeing games like Jedi Fallen Order where they had really granular options for difficulty, like the reaction time necessary, damage taken versus damage dealt, all this kind of stuff. I love seeing that ability to customize things, but I can also respect when games have a kind of vision for how they want the game to be, and they invite you to engage with the game, but it's not for everybody. I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. As long as it doesn't stem from a place of, I physically can't do it because they require you to have, that millisecond response time or whatever it is. Let me give you an example of actual accessibility limits. If we look at the fighter game genre, some of those games actually require of you that you're able to input commands at a certain speed. And if you're not physically able to do that, maybe because you have something in your hands that limits you, your motion or your reactions, that can truly be something that keeps you from playing that game. And it doesn't matter how many hours you put in, if you do have some kind of hard limit, you're just not going to be able to, let's say, compete at the high level, or maybe even enjoy the game to the same level that many other people do. That's a separate discussion, right? That's a pure accessibility thing. Whereas, once again, people tend to conflate this idea that the Souls games are not accessible because they require some effort and some repetition, some perseverance. I disagree with that. I think that's a separate discussion. You can like or dislike that aspect about a game, and that should be a data point as to whether or not you play it. But it should not be in the same conversation as accessibility. I do think that having options is great. And if you can in your game have stuff like reaction times and things like that people can tune up, I'm all for that. I think, again, Jedi Fallen Order did great with that. Ghost of Tsushima had some great options too. But I think there are other ways that games can become more accessible for people, like some of the ways that Elden Ring implements. So if you're not great with reacting to stuff or maybe dodging, you can block. You can use magic and stay back. You can use summons. You can have a co-op partner. All this sort of stuff. You can do horse combat. All of this comes back to modify the way you play so that you can engage and enjoy with the game in a way that works for you. It doesn't mean you have to be able to dodge roll every single attack that comes your way, although I get a kick out of that, but you can play how you want, and the game gives you options and ways to make your playstyle work. That is awesome. Now let's get back to enjoying some fucking games and stop the bollocks. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.